through that speed camera. Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, Gigi.
Morning.
Where are we?
In the brap machine.
We're going to give Georgie some driving lessons. And that sounds rude because you can drive. We just had a crasher! Don't worry about it, man. It's a Surrey, it bounces off. She's never driven a 500 brake, fire-breathing RX7. Nah. We're not going to go too mad today. Obviously, this is George's first time in this mental spec car. It's about 7 degrees and slightly moist. We're going to go and show her parents as well. Hopefully your parents still love me. We're actually going to be doing 2 videos today. The first one's going to be kind of Georgie's first drive in the RX7, and then the second one's going to be a London trip. We're going to go up to London for a couple of hours, go and check out all the supercars. So we're going to take our own Japanese supercar. Time has come. Exciting, man. They've got quite sort of unique little door handles. These quite sort of, well, very 1995, that's for sure. Look at this, what a beast. You jump in and see if that seat fits you. I think it will because it's too small for me, so it should be perfect for you. Oh, look at that. What a fitty. Give it a few braps. Right, let's jump in, man. Out of 10? 11. We're also going to get a new Takata harness. That harness is alright, but it's kind of got a seatbelt buckle on it, which isn't ideal for safety. Why, hello there. No pressure, man. You've only got hundreds of thousands of subscribers watching you.
Oh, not many then.
George has never actually driven a car with a sort of quite aggressive clutch. To be fair to this car, it is actually quite user-friendly. It's not like a stock clutch, but it's not disastrous either. Before, Georgie was used to an FD2, which has an incredibly short ratio gearbox. You know, now in the FD2, probably being what, 4th? You could literally kind of do 40 miles an hour in 4th gear. This car, because it's got longer ratio gears, it will do 40 in 1st gear. It's very different, so it will take George a couple of hours to kind of get used to it. What does it feel like, just initial impressions?
It actually feels really good. I think you can drive it like a normal car if you really want to.
Yeah. Right, we got our first roundabout. That's FD2, you're going for second there, FD2 spec. Thing is with the FD2, you could literally like pull off in second. Yeah, more revs when you pull off. You look very cool driving it, man. How are you finding it?
It's okay, yeah.
It's cool, man, isn't it? Yeah, it does take a lot of getting used to this car. I've been keeping an eye on all the gauges as well. Water temp is staying nice and consistent between about 85 and 90. Oil temp gets up to about 90 from a little spirited run. Oil pressure is consistent as well. It's also got this little speed thing there, which is kind of a bit annoying because it kind of blocks your rev counter a little bit, but I guess once you kind of know the car, you don't really need the rev counter. It's also got a Blitz boost controller, an SBC, which you can see there, which also gives you a digital readout, which is pretty handy. Oh, we're on the motorway. Woo! I feel like we're doing like a driving lesson.
It does feel that way.
What's my instructing like?
Very good.
Noise it makes, it's sick, isn't it? You get a proper like whoop. Accelerate through that speed camera. No, don't. What are you doing, Johnetta? Obviously, if you are in the UK, be aware of speed cameras. They're everywhere, and police cars as well. She's getting the boost. Let it surge, feel the power, go on, flat down. Proper fruity, this. I had a dream that we were in an RX7 and we were cruising into London, and I thought it can't be real. It is real! Woo! You've got to bear in mind this car is quite wide, very low centre of gravity and quite wide tyres. We're not massively wide tyres on it, but you will get a little bit of sort of pulling on the road. We've also got a little stereo down here, but it doesn't have a UK adapter for UK radio stations, so we'll get that sorted at some point.
There will be many concentration places.
Nah, it's better than me. I'm like this. Someone actually told me that when you stick your tongue out, it helps you balance yourself, and that's probably why.
Really?
Yeah, it helps you balance. Yeah, that's why I think I stick my tongue out when I'm really concentrating on drifting or driving. What's really cool is next year, Dave from Open Track Days, he's very kindly granted us track day access. And he's also said that we can get tuition for me and for Georgie, because I need some tuition as well. But next year, George will be getting out, like we mentioned before, in the Escort. At least the indicator's on the same side, because your FD2 was Japanese import as well, and that was on the right as well.
I like getting Corolla and stuff doing what's too much.
Yeah. What's it like going from a 500 quid Corolla to this? We're going to be doing a 4E FTE conversion as well, hopefully with the help of Fensport. They don't know this yet, but I'm going to contact them and see if they want to get involved. Clutch work is 85% there, I'd say. You're doing well, man.
I'll take 85.
Yeah, it is hard because the gearing's so long in this. You've really got to bring the revs up, probably more so than a normal performance car. We've got quite a good little test coming up. We've got a little bit of, well, we're just coming into the start of London. One of the biggest things with rotaries is what Ross has advised me is you've got to really be careful with the temperatures. One thing that really kills them is overheating. It'd be nice to kind of monitor the gauges and see if the temperatures stay consistent. That's the glove box. What's that?
Oh my God.
It's got some sort of,
Is that a toll card or something?
maybe a toll thing here, or something to do with music because it's pink. I'm not too sure, man. Obviously all these gauges are aftermarket. They do have quite an array of gauges in stock form. That's obviously your fuel, that's your oil pressure, that's your coolant temperature, that's your revs, and that's your speed. These are all your heater controls. The car hasn't still got aircon, but that's the aircon button, and that's all the things to change your heaters. That's your temperature, and that's your fan speed. It's got the original sort of headlight retraction button. That's the popper upper button. Obviously we haven't got popper upper headlights. We've just got these aftermarket ones now, which, to be fair, Shah was saying some of the older aftermarket units are quite hard to see at night, but I drove it the other night in the dark and it isn't too bad. Down here you've got the Defi controller, which kind of operates all the gauges. You can get like your peak values and stuff to kind of see the highest readings the gauges have taken. If I press this, you'll see that is all the maximum peak values the gauges have read. So that's the water temp got to about 95 degrees, which is perfectly fine. Oil temp about 85, quite low, but obviously it is winter and we haven't really put our foot down. Oil pressure's okay, that's when the car's cold. Exhaust gas temps have been up to 950. I do think that around 900 is the optimum exhaust gas temperature. I'm not sure for a rotary, it might be a bit different. Maybe you guys can tell us below in the comment section what the exhaust gas temperature should read. Got a little cigarette lighter, definitely had a few Japanese cigarettes on that. The interior is pretty nice, all the plastics, relatively speaking, considering the car is 1995. It is actually in pretty good condition, and it's been used at Tsukuba and around the track, so the car hasn't been a show queen at all. It's really been used for its purpose. In the back you've got no interior at all, battery with your cut-off switch, and that's your swell pot. Metal fuel lines as well, which is really cool, very sort of race car inspired. On Georgie's side it's actually got an aluminium sort of foot plate, which is pretty good. The only thing to bear in mind with that is when it's wet or your shoes are wet, it's just quite a good idea to get your shoes dry, because it can be a little bit slippery. Oh, we've got Ferrari. Is he looking? No. Down here you've got your little window demister. I believe that's like a coin holder, I think, maybe. And the gear stick on these as well, they're really small, really direct. It's actually got a short shifter as well, which gives it a really nice sort of direct, chunky feel. Poor Gigi, she's not only doing her first drive on camera, she's also going to central London. But yeah, fair play to you, man. Yeah. Very famous car dealership, that Chelsea Cars. They've always got some very nice old classic cars. As a young boy, I spent many days staring in the window. Shell petrol station, which is going to be our favourite place for the next 5 years. How'd you find it?
Okay.
Yeah, he done really well, man. I mean, fair play to George, you know, for a young lady to jump in a car like this, it's very overwhelming, so she's done a stellar job. We're actually going to wrap this video up here and start making another one in a second. We're going to drive into London, do like a kind of tour of, well, not a tour of the whole of London, but show you a few of the sites and have a few braps in the RX7. Well done, G. Absolute star, man. We hope you guys enjoyed this cheeky little video. Don't worry, next up we're going to be doing some drifting with Georgie in the RX7.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.